Welcome to the East Bank Sports Show, proudly brought to you by the Fanatical Elves, a member of the Fans First Sports Network. Broadcasting live from the vibrant East Bank of the Flats in Cleveland, Ohio. Join us as we delve into the heart of Cleveland sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Matt.
It is a gloomy day over here on the East Bank of the Flats in Cleveland, Ohio. I just saw a picture of Deshaun Watson wearing the uniform with the white face mask this year. It looks so good. I'm all hyped up now. I'm ready to go. Matt, we're back to the OG ways of doing this. How are you, man? It's just me and you doing the show today.
I'm not bad. Had a nice vacation, but definitely excited to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back, man, and I'm glad your trip went well. A lot of news to cover, a lot of stuff to cover today. The Guardians are still playing like the Guardians are. We got some uniform conversations to have. Real quick, we can break right into this. Actually, I want to show you something real quick because I did, in fact, get something in the mail today, so I got to plug it real quick. We have the East Bank Sports Show merch. I have my t-shirt. It smells like a freshly printed shirt, though, so I'm going to wash it first, so make sure you do the same. But really nice t-shirt. Feels like any other of my gym shirts that I wear all the time, so you'll definitely catch me in the gym at maybe a tailgate or 3 with it on. But go check that out at the Fanatical Elf Shop on Teespring. It's in our bio if you're watching this on the Fanatical Elves, Facebook, X, any of that. That being said, Matt, you ready to get into it, man?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So quick takes. For those who watch the office edition of our show, typically we do 30-second takes. I'm not going to time Matt and mute them like I do John and Eric. Shout out John and Eric. But we're going to go into it real quick. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry got extended. What is your reaction, Matt?
I love it. We both called it a few months ago. It's finally the end of the carousel, I hope. It's the longest tenured head coach and GM we've had since we came back. I've got nothing but good things to say. I wanted to keep him around. That's exactly what we did. I still haven't seen the length, though, and that is something I would like to know. Yeah,
length and numbers are still not out. I checked it. I talked about it. If any of you guys know about the Steel Curtain Network, which is the Steelers branded show here at Fans First Sports Network, I was over there on the Homies show on Friday and the Homies after show, and we were talking about it. No numbers out yet, which is a little weird to me. I feel like typically you see the numbers like Mike Tomlin got extended today and it was 3 years, like that came off. So he's extended through 2027. But going into my thoughts, I'm really happy that, we have a coach and a GM that we're very confident in as an office, as honestly a fan base. You can have your gripes with Stefanski and even Andrew Berry at times with his drafting, but just really happy that we are no longer in the carousel. Like you said, Matt, I'm happy. We got these guys locked down. We don't have to worry about it. We're going on with what we've been doing. And here's to another year of the orange and brown. Am I right?
Yeah. That's the big thing I think you just hit is in the middle of the season, I was probably one of the biggest Kevin Stefanski haters for his play calling and everything, but I'll still take that over Hugh Jackson and anybody else you can rattle off on that list of head coaches we've had. Like, at the end of the day, we got the right one, I think.
Yeah, and I still think Dorsey's probably like I am in the opinion that we brought in Dorsey from Buffalo, even though he did get fired, to be partial play caller or play caller. I don't know why I said partial. I think he's going to call the plays for this team. So letting Stefanski, slide into that CEO role even more now. He can still be very hands-on with the offense. I don't mind that at all. He's an offensive genius. That's why we signed him, whether you like some of his trick plays or his weird calls or not. But yeah, I really want to see Dorsey take over the play calling. I think we've both kind of been of the opinion that the OC should take the play calling for even before we started doing the East Bank Sports Show coming up on a year. We're coming up on a year, man.
Ooh, we'll have to get a big one planned.
Right. Well, I'll tell you guys about the big one for next week at the end of the episode. You want to go into uniforms, man, or you got anything else to say here?
I think we're ready. Let's get after it.
All right. So it's funny, and I'll pull up the picture in a minute because I picked this topic because for those who don't know, I am a big uniform, sneaker guy, that kind of thing. So uniforms are kind of my forte. I like talking about them a lot. We are in the dog days of the NFL offseason. The NBA finals have been boring as hell. MLB is great, but the Guardians aren't playing today. So what can we talk about? And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about some of these uniforms that have been coming out, and I was really excited with some of them. And I was thinking, are we really in a renaissance? Like, the early 90s jerseys, how much they hit, like the Cavs in orange and blue, the Hawks with the hawk on it, the Buck with the buck on it. I think of those jerseys a lot, right? So we'll get to what spurred this topic in a minute. But as soon as I called uniform renaissance, this came out today. So for those who are viewing at home and not listening, or not watching and listening, I am showing the Minnesota Twins City Connect jerseys, which I think are atrocious. They are all over royal blue with a yellow belt and an ugly hat. It's supposed to be for all their lakes. Matt, what do you think of those real quick? I know this is a curveball, but I think they're ugly as hell.
Those were almost on my list.
Really? Really?
I think that I like them.
I think
they're
they
not
are
just
atrocious.
they're not. Well, the way you described it to anybody that didn't see, it's not just like a flat royal blue. It's a royal blue with like different depths and blacks running through it. It looks really good in my opinion. And then the yellow just pops. I love them.
No, I think they're ugly as hell. They look like a blue highlighter. Doesn't really fit the color scheme of the Twins very well, and I think they're ugly, just flat out ugly. But I'm surprised you like them. More power to you. You can be one of the 10 people that buy those jerseys because I don't. If that came out as the Guardian City Connect jersey, I'd be pissed. I'd be absolutely pissed if that was the uniform we got because that is horrible. I'll stop berating you. We can get into the list. Matt, your number 3. I agree with. It's a good jersey. I'll show it right now. Matt, describe what we're looking at.
It's the Houston Texans H-Town alternates. It's got H-Town right across the front and that baby blue, and then red set on blue numbering. I think it looks really clean. I think they really, really did a good job putting that one together. The helmet's really sick too. Not anything, to really complain about with it. I love it.
I actually am not a fan of their rebrand overall. I think it's very boring, and they could have went for more considering their last uniforms are really boring. I like these jerseys a lot. And going back into explaining this topic real quick, we're picking out jerseys over the last 2 years, basically, that have been announced that we really like. Bias, everything is at play here, obviously, because we're Cleveland fans. But I also made sure that we could only pick one Cleveland jersey. So we can't pick like the City Connect, the statement jersey for the you could only pick one. And Matt surprisingly picked 0 Cleveland jerseys. So that's interesting to me. My number 3, however, is kind of a curveball. I went with the Team USA jerseys for this year. I think some of the Team USA basketball jerseys have been kind of shaky the last couple of years. I think they've been kind of doing too much or kind of ugly, honestly. Going back to this tried and true navy blue, USA across the chest, flag on the chest. I think it's a classic, clean look, and I'm really excited to see Team USA, the Avengers team that we've been calling them all of a sudden, take the court next month. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen those uniforms yet until they just came up on the screen there. I like them. And I've actually been really excited for the Olympics coming up. I know it's a little off topic, but I'm going to watch a good bit of it this year, I hope.
Yeah, me too. They're talking about doing like the red zone thing where it's like a constant run around of all of that. I'm definitely going to have that on at least in the living room at all times, unless something, more pertinent is to be watched. But I'm really excited for the Olympics too. And I've actually been checking. I have some Fanatics credit right now. Shout out Fanatics Sportsbook and Fanatics Returns. That I've been kind of waiting to see when these jerseys are going to drop on the team shop through Fanatics for Team USA, because I want to scoop one for 4th of July for the picnics and all that kind of thing. Matt, let's go into your number 2. I also agree with this one. I'm going to show it now.
Specifically here, I'm a big fan of the Jets' new home green uniform with the white pants, at least the combo they show there. The one right down the middle.
Yeah.
But I think all in all, the Jets actually did a great job with those new uniforms they're going to be wearing this coming season. All of them look great, but that green one just, I don't know, it does something for me. I love it. Garrett Wilson inbound, probably.
Oh, for sure, especially as 2 Ohio State guys, right? I like the Jets rebrand as well. I like a lot of these teams going back to the tried and true classics, kind of like what we did with the Browns. We had those horrendous Cleveland across the chest that we wore in the dark days of being a Browns fan. Now we're going back to the classics. We're mixing it up with some alternates that make sense to the past, but are fresh because we haven't seen them in years and years and years. I'm really excited to see those on the field because I too thought the Jets uniforms of last year and the years before, the Sam Darnold era uniforms, were garbanzo beans, completely terrible, basura, period. Going into my number 2, this is kind of what spurred this topic for me because I was really excited when I saw it over the weekend. The Utah Jazz unveiled what they're going to be doing in terms of moving towards their new brand. So if those of you who don't know, they're going back to the mountain peaks across the chest, which is, synonymous with some of their earlier teams and that kind of thing. Right now, they're wearing the highlighter orange with the music note, or not orange, yellow, excuse me, with the music note. I think they're god awful, and these are beautiful. And they're kind of the same thing that we're talking about, going back to some of the classics while, taking fresh spins on it, just to pull it back up for the people who are watching live. Shout out to everybody watching live, as well as anybody who's listening. I'll kind of describe, they have a black mountain peak with the music note still, but it looks different. It's not plain. There's, the mountain peak on the shorts, and they're kind of moving towards, doing this full time. Next year, they have a city and a statement that they're going to use, and they're going to keep one of the ones that they're wearing now. They're basically phasing into it, but I'm really excited to see these on court. Matt, what do you think?
Obviously everything you just said is right. I just think it's funny. It feels like they're getting new uniforms every single year. Like they're just going back and forth between what they want to do. That's not the point of this segment, though. There's some clean uniforms. They're absolutely going to look great on the court. I'm excited to see them.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see them. I'll probably get one, honestly, even if it's Lori or Colin or whoever's there who used to be an ex-Cav. Just depending on what, the finances look like. Because I really like these. And I'm a big jersey guy in the summer, wear the jersey, air it out a little bit, let the arms breathe. Matt, let's go into your number 1. I actually hadn't seen this one up until you sent it in today for me to get the screenshots. I'm a big fan of this one. So let me go ahead and show it. It's the Texas Rangers City Connect. Go ahead and explain it.
So I'm actually really happy that you said you're a fan of it because we're definitely in the minority there, and I'm ready to defend this uniform. I think the cream looks awesome. I think the Texas logo looks awesome. The number on the front looks great. It's an awesome hat. I'm definitely adding that one to the collection. And then what I really love about this uniform, and I think is just great about it, is if you saw that logo on the arm there, and you might have been going, what's that logo supposed to be? That's a combination of 2 of their minor league teams' logos. They put that together and put it on the uniforms. I love it.
Interesting. I did not even realize that detail. I just assumed it was the same word mark that was on the hat. I like them. I could see why people don't like them, and that's totally fine. The thing I like about the City Connects is I think it's the idea, Nike likes when they redesign jerseys and stuff to go all the way out there, kind of like, how the Browns jerseys were and stuff like that. And shout out Tim Lyons, the Bengals guy from from the Fans First Sports Network. He said they're hideous. I'm still a fan of them, Tim, but we were bashing heads on the homie chat anyway. I like them because I think it's going to a point that isn't too far, kind of like the Browns jerseys were or the Jets jerseys of the past, where I think they're pretty. I like the tan. I'm a big tan guy, I guess, too. Maybe that's why I like them. But I'm a fan. I'll stand on the fact that I said I'm a fan, period.
I think they did a great job with them. I don't understand why people don't like them. I don't see it personally, but I think they're great.
Just to show the comment on screen real quick, it's another City Connect jersey fail. I disagree, but we're all entitled to our opinion, right? Let's hop into my number one, which is probably the most cop-out answer I can give for number one. I mean, come on.
It's a great uniform.
The all-white Browns with the white helmet. I know that this jersey was unveiled before with, the numbered helmets and the orange, kind of the vintage throwback style. The all-white with the white helmet, as a Browns fan, it just does it for me. When they unveiled the white helmet and the photo shoot of Njoku last year, it did it for me. When we beat the Jets to secure the playoff spot last year, it still did it for me on national TV. If I wasn't a believer in not having all of the same jersey, I would probably have like 5 of those jerseys just because of how much I love them, because of the logo, the helmet, everything about them is fantastic. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there really to say? As Mr. Lyons said in the chat there, they might be the best Browns uniforms we've had maybe ever. Definitely currently. I mean, they're great. How can you go wrong? The only reason I didn't throw them on my list is because I was 90% sure that they were going to be your number one, and I wanted to let you have
it. There's one that I want to give the honorable mention to Browns-wise real quick, even though they didn't wear them last year. I don't know why I love them so much, but the flat brown, no design whatsoever, and just the numbers in all orange. I love that jersey for some reason. I think they look so good with the orange helmets. They're kind of like good looking in an ugly way almost, but I love that jersey combination. It's so weird to me that I like it, because when they first unveiled it, I was like, why the hell are we even like wearing this? Why wouldn't they just keep the stripes like they had on our original color rush or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same exact way about it, and it's almost bad looking that makes it look good.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I love it.
100%. Well, with that being said, that is going to wrap up our uniform segment. We're going to cut to break real quick, and then when we get back, we are going to talk some Guardians news, because, there was a TikTok that went viral, and, trade rumors have been crazy with this team. I kind of want to get into that. Me and Matt picked out some potential trade targets for this team to go after, and we'll go from there. We'll be right back. And we're back with another episode of the East Bank Sports Show. Thank you again to everyone tuning in, hanging out, enjoying each other's company. It's just me and Matt today. Typically we run 3 now, but I kind of wanted to kick it old school, kick it back to the original episodes of the East Bank Sports Show. That being said, let's get into this TikTok that went viral. So over the weekend, or it might have been like Thursday, Friday, that kind of thing, there was a TikTok that went viral about the Guardians opening a wind tunnel in the stadium. And there's audio involved with this. So for those who are not watching, you can still hear the TikTok. I'm going to go ahead and play it right now and go from there.
The Guardians removed these from their stadium, which may have created a wind tunnel in their stadium, which might be making it a lot easier for players who hit home runs, and all of a sudden, they're hitting more home runs than ever. This ball only had a 10% chance of a hit. It ended up being a homer somehow, and the pitcher couldn't believe it. Jose Ramirez hit this homer in May. Last season, Max Muncy hit a ball 2.6 miles per hour harder with the same launch angle, and the ball went 31 feet shorter. Balls are flying out to right field in Cleveland. This podcaster first theorized in April that when the Guardians removed these shipping containers from right field, the wind stopped bouncing off the containers back towards the field. Instead, the wind was now flowing through the stadium, making fly balls go significantly further every time they're hit to right. Last season, before the renovation, Progressive Field had the fewest homers in baseball. This season, homers are up nearly 1 per game. The stadium has gone from dead last to 15th in homers. There have been 40 homers hit to right field that have had an expected batting average under 200 in MLB this season. There's been 10 hit in Progressive Field alone. No other stadium has more than 4. This ball only had a 3% chance of being a hit. It was only hit 89.5 miles per hour and had a launch angle of 33 degrees. No ball hit this soft and that high has resulted in a homer in StatCast history. This one was a homer. This time last year, the Guardians were last in home runs. Now they rank 10th. They have the 4th best offense. They're in first place and have the 3rd best record in baseball. But do you think the wind tunnels are actually causing the increase in homers?
So, Matt, I'm assuming you saw that or know kind of about the wind tunnel thing. What are your thoughts on that TikTok, the video, all the stats he broke down? Go ahead, man.
So this is actually something I heard very, very minor rumblings about way back before the season even started when we were doing the renovations about it. I saw like 2 or 3 people, I forget who they are, so I'm sorry, talking about how we opened up that right field area and it's going to allow quite a bit of wind flow. I mean, look, we were the worst power hitting team in baseball last year, or one of them, if not the worst. And now we're arguably a top 10 power hitting team. Yeah, I like the fact that we have a new manager. That's helping. It looks like everybody's approach at the plate is a lot more comfortable and a lot more solid. But I definitely do think there is something to that. And I don't think that's any different than Yankee Stadium has a super short right field fence built to hit more home runs in Yankee Stadium. Plenty of teams have things like this. This one's just kind of sneakier, I think.
You know what's funny to me? You know, they talk about where we're at in rankings and stuff like that. And, you know, our home run percentage is up and there's a lot more home runs being hit in Progressive Field. The thing that it portrays to me a little bit is it's like we're the only team that gets to hit in Progressive Field, even though it takes 2 teams to play baseball. You know what I mean? Like 100%, like it's cool, whatever. Like, is there some validity to the claims with the wind tunnels? Potentially, right? It makes sense. You move a bunch of mass steel and make it a place to drink a bunch of beer, basically. To me, though, like how much of it is it makes me think of Colorado, right? You get excited to go to Colorado because the elevation and you're going to hit, home runs. The Rockies also get to play in Colorado. It's not like it's just in favor of the road team all the time. So to me, I think it's interesting. I wanted to bring it up because it did go like at least mini viral in Cleveland, Twitter, Instagram, all of that kind of stuff. But I think it's funny that it kind of gives me the impression that it's like, oh, well, the Guardians are the only one who gets to benefit from the wind tunnel, even though, trust me, I have seen plenty of home runs in my time as a ballpark pass holder at Progressive Field hit by the other team. Any other thoughts on this, Matt?
I mean, no, not really. I think it's, I'm happy we're hitting more home runs, whether it's a wind tunnel or a new coaching staff. I don't really care.
I mean, it's not like we're not hitting home runs on the road either. I mean, Gabriel Arias hit a home run yesterday, for God's sakes, and I didn't.
Romeo had his first one.
Right, 100%. All right, let's get into our last topic, which is very Guardians-based again. I'm really excited to talk about it because I did a good amount of research today on what I think the Guardians should do, or some people that the Guardians should target in the trade market going in, towards the trade deadline. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Matt, go ahead with your first pick for Guardians trade targets. I didn't break it down specifically on what we would have to deal for these guys, but whatever you prepared, go ahead.
No, I didn't break it down that way either. And honestly, I didn't really put them in an order necessarily. I think these are all three additions I would.
Well, yeah. I didn't really either. I was just going one by one.
So the guy I'll lead off with is Tyler Anderson, starting pitcher for the Angels. He's looked pretty solid this year. He's sporting a 2.63 ERA. He's 5-6, but the Angels' offense hasn't been good. Can't really pin that on him, in my opinion. In my mind, he's the ideal number 3 guy for our rotation. We definitely need starting pitching help. I think he's only $8 million this year. Not super expensive, within the range Cleveland would make a move. I don't see us having to give up a lot for him either. That's kind of what drew me to him the most. I mean, we need starting pitching help. He could be a good guy to step up, fill that role. He'd be on a 1-year rental deal, but oh well.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Number 3 for me, right-handed pitcher Shamanea from the Mets. I almost put your Angels player on my list, but the Angels are weird about dealing players. They should have dealt Shohei probably last year, and they didn't, so I omitted him from mine. He's 32 years old. He's a little bit older. He has a deal on the table for 2025, but there's a good chance he opts out of that. And he's due $7 million this year, so kind of to your point, in that range of the money, the Guardians would probably be okay for a rental-esque starting pitcher as we move towards the playoffs and trying to make a run at the World Series. Right now, he is, he's got I'm looking, I believe it is a 3.79. My notes are a little messed up on him. ERA. We'll see what happens with him. He's an older guy. Like I said, I think he makes a lot of sense for us. Go ahead and your next player, Matt.
My next guy, you see him thrown around a lot in Cleveland media the last couple of weeks, but it makes the most sense. And I saw he was also on your list, Bo Bichette. I couldn't leave him off. I almost didn't want to, just for the fact of it's so obvious, but we need a shortstop. He happens to be a shortstop. It sounds like they want to deal him. Maybe not, though. The GM did say that it doesn't really make sense to trade him. But if they're not in playoff contention, anything's possible, and that could just be a bluff to get more.
Right, 100%.
There's no reason to at least not make a run at him.
Bo Bichette is obviously a really good MLB player. It is of note that he's batting .238 right now with an on-base percentage of .633. He is having a down year. That being said, in a Guardians offense that has been, lights out, electric, however you want to describe it, I think having him come in here and play, that middle of rotation guy, 5'6", somewhere in there probably, would be really exciting to see what his batting prowess would turn into, especially with the Blue Jays kind of not contending this year. So why not go after him? The MLB is kind of a fire sale league at the deadline. We did the same thing with Savali and Bell last year at the deadline when we were hovering 500 and it didn't look fantastic. We just sold the farm, not the farm, but sold off the players and continued on. But yes, Bo Bichette was my number 2 as well, just because of how much he was brought up. It was kind of the inspiration of talking about, free agents. But, shortstop is probably number 2 need right now, if you're listing the needs between starting pitcher, shortstop, and then maybe some outfielder that is. But go ahead with your next pick, Matt.
Noah, before I put my next pick out there, I'm just going to say I'm sorry, and please don't hate me. But my next pick is Elias Diaz, catcher from the Colorado Rockies.
Interesting. Okay.
He's not having your boy's not having a great year, Noah. And granted, our offense has been good, and we haven't needed him to be good. He's definitely going to be on the block. The Rockies, I think, have not confirmed, but have pretty much all but said anything's available right now. And he's batting 301 compared to a 170. I'll take the 301, please.
No, and, obviously I can act like I'm in Delulu land about Bo. I know he's not playing up to esteem. Everything that Vogt said about Bo, though, and why I didn't really put a catcher in here at all, is that they still have faith in him, and they're just trying to iron out and help his technique, translate to the majors from the minors. A lot of people I see online, myself included, is kind of this. You could send Bo back down to AAA, but what is that really going to accomplish when he can be a rotational catcher in the majors right now and learn? My other caveat to trading for a pitcher, basically, or a catcher, not a pitcher, I'm looking at my number one right now. A catcher is that David Fry can play catcher, and we know what David Fry is on offense this year. He's a bona fide, should be, go vote him in as an all-star type of player.
5 times a day, please.
So, yes, I was going to remind at the end that was going to be my outro, and you just stole it from me. But David Fry is kind of my caveat for going for a catcher. My number one is Paul Blackburn, right-handed pitcher, 30 years old, from the A's. He could be dealt just because of how the A's are. They're playing better than, typical A's baseball. But, again, it's a fire sale kind of league at the deadline when, players aren't churning and burning and you're not going to make the playoffs. He's got another year on his contract too, which is why I kind of like him and I'd deal for him, because that adds another arm to this starting pitching rotation that I think it's going to need regardless of when Gavin Williams comes back, if Bieber plays the full year next year and re-signs with us, that kind of thing. But I still don't think it's going to take a lot of money to get him. Remember, they dealt like Matt Olson for like a bag of chips compared to what Matt Olson was as a player when he was dealt. But he's pitching really well right now. He's an all-star in the past, and I'm really excited for the opportunity for them to maybe go after someone like that. Again, he's 30. He's not the youngest of youngest, but I think he would be a good arm to put in there, come playoff situation. Having him, put you in a good spot to, put the bullpen in later on, because the bullpen has been first in like every statistical category this year thus far. What do you think about that pick real quick, Matt, before we move on?
I mean, if we were extending this to number 4, I'd be doubling down right there with you. I have his name right there. I just didn't want to double up on pitchers. Only reason I went with Tyler Anderson is he's a bit younger. So if we do re-sign him, a little bit of a brighter future. But
right
at the end of the day, we need starting pitching help. Any of those guys, I think, could be a solid answer for us.
I agree, and I'm really excited to see what this team does. It is of note, before we go into final thoughts and takes, that Lively is currently in Cleveland and not traveling with the team to Cincy to get x-rays on an injury. I don't know if it was x-rays, but to be checked out for an injury. So a starting pitcher trade or two might need to happen, like more so now than ever, because I love you, Cookie. Please go to AAA or the bullpen. Thank you. But I wanted to bring that up because that was something I saw like right before we got on as well, that Lively was on his way back to Cleveland as opposed to Cincinnati with the team.
Well, that's not good. I didn't see that. Hopefully it's nothing major, though.
Sorry to break your heart, Matt. Let's go into – you have anything else free agency you want to add real quick before we go in? Okay, let's do it. Final thoughts and takes. Matt, what are your final thoughts and takes on the day?
I'm gonna swing it over to the NFL real quick. And I'm going to double down on what I said, I think, 3 episodes-ish ago, that I could see any single team in the AFC North winning the division and any single team being at the bottom of the division by the end of the year. It's going to be a wild card.
I agree. I'm going to refrain from coming at Mustard. You know who you are. I'm going to refrain Because they're not playing. They haven't been home in a while, so there's no point to beat a dead horse, even though he deserves to be beat. My hot take is going to be to go off of some of the tweets and stuff we talked on the Fanatical Elf show. Because of some of the built-in contract incentives that there is for Nick Chubb, I think there is a higher chance that Chubb appears in week 1 than some people are assuming. I'm saying higher chance, like if you're predicting 10%, I'm thinking it's like 25% chance, because the more Chubb plays, the more money he makes. Not that he's a money guy, but he is worth every penny of his contract no matter what. And any person in their right mind would go play if they could go play. Matt, anything else before we wrap up the show?
Go Guards.
Go Guards. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the East Bank Sports Show. Again, my name's Noah. It's my boy Matt. We started this almost a year ago and been having a blast with it. I'm glad we could kick it back to how it used to be when it was just both of us for once in a while. It's not bad.
Episode. Talk about next episode.
Thank you. I was getting there. To tease the next episode, I have a friend, a close confidant, one might call him, who was a family friend of the Modell family before they moved to Baltimore. And we're going to bring him in and we're going to interview him. And I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be just me and Matt yet, or if we'll bring Eric and John in, or maybe one of the other guys from the Fanatical Elves to kind of go around and ask him some questions. But he grew up with like the Modell's kids and stuff. And his dad was very close to the Modells. And I'll let him explain his whole story next week on Monday at 7 p.m. here on the Fanatical Elves and the Fans First Sports Network. Please make sure you download if you are listening. It helps us out a ton, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Audacity. Odyssey is actually how you say that, whatever it may be. And until next time, Cleveland Browns fans, Cleveland Guardians fans, Cleveland Cavaliers fans, make sure you go vote your All-Stars in and have a great week.